Welcome to In the Moment with Courtia Kuzan, where we inform, inspire, and motivate you to be a positive agent of change. Good morning and welcome to this Thriving Thursday. Woo! Thriving Thursday, people. We got one more day in the work week for all of you that are keeping track. So I know you're very excited about that. I want to give a shout out to all of Central Louisiana, my folks and family over in Natchez. It's Gina Alexandra at 88.1 FM listening in. Monroe, West Monroe on 98.9 FM. Shreveport, Greenwood on 92.5 FM. St. Joseph, Natchez, Mississippi on 99.3 FM. Lake Charles on 100.1 FM. And for all of you that are seeking how to call in, our local number is going to be 318-484-2500, and toll free you can call in with your questions or comments at 877-464-2500 on this Thriving Thursday. And I tell you, it's exciting up in here. And you know, we started yesterday on that halfway there Wednesday to where we were talking about factors that actually motivate people, you know, in their life. And you know, the 3 points we actually touched on yesterday, just because I knew I wasn't going to be able to get into all of the subject matter, just because, I mean, it was just like a lot to be able to share, you know, with each and every one of you. But, you know, what's really sticks out as a recap is that, you know, one of the main motivating factors that actually push people ahead of what drives people, you know, it was pretty much self-explanatory. It dealt in the realm of money and rewards, okay? I mean, the second was, you know, having that desire to be the best. I mean, that should be kind of self-evident, because you can say as much as you want to be about how great you want to be in life, the things that you want to do, but if you actually don't have the desire, the willingness to want to do those things, then, you know, basically you just have lip service, all right? And then, of course, the third thing, before we actually closed out yesterday, was once you have the money, once you have the rewards, and you have the desire and everything to go forward, it's all about, you know, helping others, okay? You know, teach one, reach one, you know, give a man a fish, you'll feed him for a day, but teach him how to fish, you'll feed him for a lifetime. I mean, that's what it's all about, folks. We're taking what we have been able to acquire in this life, and I'm not talking about just cashing it to the wind, or, you know, as the scripture says, casting our pearl before swine, you know, pretty much just wasting our efforts on individuals, but actually reinvesting and sowing back into individuals that have, you know, that drive, that little spark to actually be more in life, to, you know, do things for our families, you know, do things as far as like in our communities, you know, at church, wherever you're at, you know, be that positive agent of change that God has actually called you to be. And so we're going to kick it off here today to where we're going to talk about, you know, that fourth point. So you can say this is actually part two of factors that motivate people in life. And, you know, that next part that we're going to be talking about, what is it that actually motivates people? What about power and fame? Some individuals are so driven about being, you know, powerful in life, famous in life, to where it seems like it's just really all-consuming, and they try to do, to say some very outlandish things to get, you know, noticed by individuals. I think that's pretty much like an understatement. But, you know, one of the great examples of people that are actually motivated by power and fame, well, you know, it's in the news all the time and pretty much is covering everything. Well, just for an example, politicians, okay? They're motivated by power and fame. Now, you know, primarily when I look at the television, it's when my wife and I, you know, we're in the gym, you know, we're doing cardio, we're working out, and it just seems like every day you've got a different politician, whether they're Democrat, whether they're Republican, whether they're independent, whatever their so-called party is, okay, to where they seem like they're trying to get a certain, I don't know, tweet or, you know, say something to, you know, make sure that the camera kind of points their way so they can have, I guess, what is it called, their 15 minutes of fame, you know, whatever the cliche or whatever it is. But it just seems like there's so many people that are out there just trying to gain some type of recognition or quote-unquote fame or power, and they don't even care about it being in a good light or in a bad light, just as long as they get noticed. I mean, we've got people in this world today that are doing some of the, I don't even know how to even describe it verbally, but they're doing some pretty, like I said, outlandish things out there that, would really border on, people that may need to be, put in some type of an institution for the things that they say, the things that they do. I mean, it's just really, really far out, into left field when it comes to that. But then, people that are actually looking for that type of so-called power and fame, I mean, in one sense, they're actually inspired to actually become leaders or to lead, and they're driven to achieve greater power just to have that fame. But what is it that's causing you to actually want to achieve that greater power and that greater influence? I mean, I've seen a lot of different individuals that I speak to them, and they always talk about, we talked about the one motivating thing that drives most people, okay, is money and rewards. And when we talk about them, a lot of individuals, and I'm talking to a lot of this so-called right now, this lost generation. They've been so brainwashed, as far as like what's on television about, I've got to get that money, I've got to get that cheddar, I've got to get that cake, I've got to get those ends, whatever you want to say, whatever word that you want to use, but they've been shown or they've been brainwashed into thinking that, they've got to hustle to make this happen. And I'm here to tell you, there's a difference between hustling for something and actually working for something, all right? A hustle is where you're trying to get over on someone just to like make your quote unquote ends meet, just to have that temporary provision. But when you're working for something, okay, when you're actually laying some roots, where you're actually laying that foundation, you're establishing something that's just not for that moment, but you're actually establishing something for years to come. I'm talking to somebody right now, okay? So it's all right to do what you need to do in a good way. Let me emphasize, in a good way. So actually, have those resources and those things coming in to, be of benefit to your family. But, eventually you want to go and to where you can have some type of long-term legacy established, for, your family, your children, your children's children, and, to be that positive agent of change. So, what leads you into actually wanting the fame and the power? What is it? I mean, think about what is your motivating force? What is motivating you to actually be that way? It's so prevalent over like social media right now and I'm just like, how can I say, my jaw just pretty much drops to where, individuals, a lot of the females or whatever out there nowadays, I'm just too old school, but why would you actually start taking photos and different things of parts of your anatomy and sharing it out there? And then of course, you've got guys out there that are doing all of these different things. Yeah, there are people that are trying to, I could say, have power and fame and doing it in a positive way. But if we actually did it on a percentile, I would actually say, like 1 in 4, maybe doing it the positive way. But then of course that other 3 quarters, my Lord, oh my goodness, the things that people are actually putting out there. And it makes it even more so to where in doing that, and this is on the same topic, to where for those of you that have given your kids free reign as far as like over social media, I tell you, you'd probably say, well, I know they don't go to particular sites and they don't do this and do that. But what we've actually found out is that if you put a certain type of hashtag and, your kids actually follow a certain group or some type of hashtag and they use the same hashtags, then guess what? Things that people will do will eventually like pop up in, a child's feed. And you might say, well, how do you know that? I mean, because it's actually happened to one of my kids or whatever before, to where they're looking at something that's plainly innocent. And just because of someone trying to get some type of recognition, trying to get some type of power and fame, and they put in some type of hashtag that connected to, all of these other different sites. So when people did searches, all of that vulgarity and all of that nonsense started to pop up in, the feed. But what is it that you're doing for power and fame? Are you actually making yourself that beacon light, that example? Really? What are you actually doing as far as like in your community, in the church, on your place of employment? Now, like I said, I've worked in a corporate structure, and a lot of people wanted to get attention about what they were doing by what? Complaining, okay, about trying to verbalize about everything that was going wrong. If you are an individual that's actually doing that right now and you haven't really noticed that how people don't really say, yeah, you're right, but they all of the time they're just like, It may be that they maybe trying to like really, how can I say, fast forward your conversation to actually get away from you. Or it seems like people trying to distance themselves away from you, or when possibly because of the negativity that's coming from you, all of a sudden people just leave and have to go and do something. Okay. You may not realize this. You may think that, hey, everybody's in the same boat like you, but even though those so-called people that try to puff you up when you know the rubber hits the road, as it says, you're going to find out that you're on an island by yourself. Why? Because systematically, most people are going to let you know that when your ship starts to sink and when you're trying to achieve that power and fame, then guess what? They're going to let you sink by yourself. If you think I'm lying or you think I'm just making this up, turn on your television and you see it happen every single day. People are going to be in that phase of what they say they're going to ride or die with you until it seems like it's going to be more on the die side than the ride side. And that's just real. That's just real deal, okay? We're talking about factors that motivate people in life. And as long as what you're doing is going to basically propel them or help them, they're going to be right there with you. But you want to know something? I want to bring that out to you because there's so many people right now that are falling by the wayside for things that are actually causing them to actually be in an adverse moment instead of being in a positive moment. And so when we come back from break, we're going to really reflect on how we're going to keep you in the right type of moment. Welcome back to In the Moment with Courtier Kuzan on this thriving Thursday. Family, reach out to us and call us at our local number for you with your questions or comments at 318-484-2500 and toll free at 877-464-2500. And we're talking about factors that motivate people in life. This is the second portion of that. And we just came out of talking about why do people seek power and fame? I mean, what is it that they're actually seeking? I mean, what about you? What is it that you strive for? Are you striving in this life right now, in this season that we're in, for power and fame? I mean, do you actually really chase after power and fame? I know sometimes we see some individuals and you see them coming up and then they get into a group of people and they want to start talking. And I mean, if you start to think about, okay, what's the next harebrained scheme that they've actually come up with now? I mean, what's the next get-rich-quick scheme that they actually have? And, you know, you look at that and you might say, well, wow, okay, man, these people are always coming up with something, all right, something. They always try to, you know, suck me into doing something to actually, you know, get on the bandwagon with them. And, you know, I actually had to catch a revelation about that. They may be going to and fro doing all of these different things or trying to do all of these different things, but guess what? They're actually trying to do something with their life. Now, they may not have structure. They may not have a foundation. They may not have a mentor. I mean, they may just be going or trying to jump into what's popular for that time being. But you know something? They are trying to do something. They are trying to do something to keep them motivated to actually change their lives. And you know, we can look down on people like that, but, you know, it's a matter of we could actually see that as something to actually motivate us to do more with our lives. You know, I see a lot of women out there right now, and they're selling, like Avon and, you know, Mary Kay, and I'm not plugging, you know, any little spot, but, you know, these makeup products, and then, you know, they have jewelry products. I mean, they have Tupperware stuff. All of these like little home businesses, and you would say, well, wow, it's like really saturated with people out there. But look, when I see ladies out there that's doing that, and you know, they have some guys out there that they have their own little home businesses that they're starting, but it shows me that people are actually motivated to do more. They've really caught on to, hey, you know something? If I want to get to where I want to get to where, you know, to actually utilize that and actually draw from that particular desire that's on the inside of me, it's really not going to happen for me for the rest of my life working for some company. I've got to do something to actually make that change in my life. I've got to do something and stay consistent with it, and that's the key. Stay consistent with it. That's actually going to motivate me and like carry me over, you know, the hump, carry me over the mountain, as you say, to get to, you know, the destination to where I'm going to be able to start reaping the benefits to where, you know, I'm actually going to find out, hey, wow, this is what it actually tastes like to actually be in a level of success. And as I've shared before, everyone has a different level of success, but as long as you keep striving and going forward, and once you achieve that first level in your life, it doesn't stop there. You keep going on. You keep growing. You keep attaining all that God has in store for you. And then, of course, it's basically like, do you start a business to achieve what you want? Because, it's basically self motivation, meaning that, it's all about me and that's it and I'm all about the money, or because you feel good and when you actually lead a team. And family, look, and this is like funny, I've said this, that on a corporate level, I actually used to, the only way I can put it is like get in trouble, but I really didn't get in trouble. It was like they couldn't understand what was going on, to where being in a corporate structure and how I said I was there and getting paid to be there for 60 hours, but, a lot of times I was only there for between 40 and 50 hours, so, like taking like 10 hours off what I was my scheduled time, but everything always got done. Everything always got done with excellence. But, in working for someone else, my first and foremost priority for the people that worked under me was to help lift them up, help bring them up to do better. Okay, I'm talking to someone. Help lift them up, help bring them up to do better. Because why? In taking an active interest in trying to get them to be better, for seeing the potential that's on the inside of them, it made my job that much easier. Now, how would you actually like to be on your job right now? And you've got people that are working under you, okay? And then all of a sudden, instead of you having to, take care of doing like scheduling, take care of doing like ordering, take care of doing this and take care of doing that, to where you can actually walk in and because of what you've identified in certain individuals, you just check with this person. Hey, what about this? Yeah, I got this done. It's already, hey, did you get this order done? Yeah, I did the order like this. We out on this. We had a price increase on this, but I alternated these different things. Hey, what about the new hot? Hey, I already did the interview and everything for you, but you can go ahead and do a follow-up. You see where I'm going? It was systematic to where all I had to do for the people that I assigned certain tasks with, that I knew had that responsibility level to do better or want to do more in their life, to where it made my life that much easier. Now, did it start out like that in the beginning? No, it didn't start out like that in the beginning. But guess what? Just like with anything in your life, you've got to put the work in the beginning to start reaping the benefits on the back end. And, with this microwave society that we have, this thing about, people wanting instant power and instant fame, to where they just want it now. And, like I said, I fell into that trap myself, thinking that, hey, once I got online and, created a business, hey, the next day, instantaneous millionaire. Boy, did I get a rude awakening. How many of you actually got this rude awakening to let you know that success wasn't just over a 24-hour span, okay? And, I actually had to ask the Lord about this thing. And it was just like, well, guess what? Before, you actually accepted me as Lord and Savior, was it instantaneous did it happen? I was like, well, of course, I accepted. He was like, well, yeah. Didn't you go through years of being in darkness and years of not knowing what to do, years of confusion, years to be, where you did everything derogatory against your body, your mindset, your emotions? Or did, it was a progression that happened? Now, when he put it in that light, guess what? I said, well, I guess it does take a little bit of a process that tends to happen. And that's what you need to realize. It does take a process to get to where you want to go. And you know something? Even for some of you right now that may be wondering, parents, what's it going to take for my kids to actually get that motivation to actually jump out there? And I'm not talking about just teens that are out there, even though they are in a group right now. But I'm talking your kids that are in like their 20s, 30s, 40s. We talked about, it still boggles my imagination how some of these individuals that are in their 20s, 30s, and 40s that are still at home, with mom and dad. Now, I know there may be some very extenuating circumstances, but for the majority, they're more than able to go ahead out there and support themselves. So keep and be faithful in actually saying, something, and you have to actually encourage them to let them know that you actually believe in them. Ask them, don't just say, well, what are you going to do with your life, okay? Actually try to look at the thing that they're really passionate about, and of course, and you may even not realize this, they may actually be passionate about being on social media and doing, computer games and stuff. Why don't you twist the conversation of possibly doing something with computers? Computer graphics, design, different things of that sort, possibly creating websites. Try to utilize what they see as their own passion, and then expand on that, grow from that. Show them how you're being supportive in that area, not for what they're doing at that moment, but what you see that they actually can do. And then guess what? Power and fame will actually come to you, not in a sense that what you see that's represented in the world or on television, but you'll actually rise to actually be that star in their life to where they'll be like, wow, just look at how mom, look at how dad's actually taking note of my interests. And then they may say, well, you know something, they brought up something that I never actually thought about before. See what I'm doing here? See what I'm saying? Okay. We are so focused right now, instead of showing people about the factors that motivate them in life, to where we're always bringing up the negativity and why someone's not doing something. And literally, it's almost like putting a muzzle on their mouth, just as you put a muzzle on a dog's mouth, to where we're trying to keep them bound in where they are. And so guess what? When you bring resentment, when you bring negativity towards someone and you think that you're trying to help these particular individual, really, long term, you're holding them back. So I tell you, I know that you're listening. I know that you're receiving. But guess what? We're going to continue in your moment. Welcome back to In the Moment with Courtier Kuzan on this thriving Thursday. We have an opportunity for each and every one of our family and friends out there to call in on a local number, 318-484-2500, and toll free at 877-464-2500. And we're talking about factors that motivate people in life, part 2. And we were just talking about those individuals that are actually seeking to, have power, to actually have fame. And, talked about and touched on a lot of different things with that. But, what you really have to identify is, this. I mean, you really want to know what you truly desire deep down on the inside of you. I mean, that's kind of like what it really boils down to in that area. What is that thing that's just that driving force? And I know we talk about it so much, okay? But what is it that's really driving you? What is the factor that's really actually pushing you to go forward, okay? So, the next point, recognition. Maybe it's recognition, the thing that may be actually your motivating force. I mean, recognition, is actually another factor that makes certain people get motivated. It really, really is. I mean, they want to prove that either they're right or someone else is wrong, all right? Now, you might say, well, what do you mean by that? Somebody could actually say, hey, using myself for an example, you know something? I don't really think that you're actually going to achieve this. I mean, look at where you came from, your family, all of these different things. You pretty much, before you came along, out of the entire generation, your entire family, you've only had 2 college graduates. I mean, one went to actual college, and one received a degree while being in the military. And, that's how it was in my family. And when I had these plans and I shared it with people, I mean, yeah, this might happen, this might not happen. But, man, do you see exactly where you stay? All those people you stay with in the house, throwing up every single thing that you possibly can, all trying to, as they say, trying to throw all of this dirt on top of you. Some people that were trying to, as they were talking to you, they were digging a hole to try to throw you in while they were trying to, quote unquote, motivate you to do something else other than, what you were seeking to do. But then what would you do? Take that as something to actually stay right where you are, or use it to actually say, something, I'm going to actually prove those individuals wrong. I mean, why do you actually want certain recognition? Why do people want recognition for themselves? I mean, here's a story for you, okay? Do you know how Lee Iacocca, okay, and you'll know who this is, all right? How he wanted to achieve his recognition, and how he did achieve his recognition by, reviving Chrysler in the 80s, okay? Now, it's said that, Ford Motor Company actually fired Lee, and he definitely felt angry about it. Okay, anybody getting fired from a job, they're going to be angry about it. But he wanted to actually build a company that actually rivaled Ford. So, as a result, he joined Chrysler, which at that time was actually in trouble. And then, of course, Lee then leads Chrysler to become, a great automobile company again as he's working through that organization. Now, we all know that Chrysler went bankrupt in 2009, but it's truly shown that Lee, and how the drive and recognition that he wanted to have and to prove himself, was actually strong enough force to actually bring success in his life. And any of you that follow Chrysler, I actually have a Chrysler right now, that even before the things happened in 2009, Chrysler was a thriving business that basically it seemed like, how some people said that things just happened overnight to where at one point in time, all you knew about was Ford, all you knew about was Chevy, but then all of a sudden you just turn around and it was just like they were there. They just like came out of the woodwork. So, but it was something that he did to prove to himself that, he wasn't a failure, but also to prove that he can do stuff that Ford said that he couldn't do. And, another similar story was about like Thomas Watson, who used to work for a company that was called NCR. I mean, Thomas Watson was actually fired from there, and he wanted to prove to his ex-company that they were actually wrong for firing him. Now, after that, Tom Watson actually joined a smaller company that was called CTR and grew it to become what is known today as what? IBM. And everyone knows about IBM. I mean, he's actually led IBM, for 40 years and turned it into one of the leading technology companies that are actually out there. So why did I give you those examples? Why did I give you those examples? And I mean, it really goes back to Scripture and how, God tells us not to despise, those humble beginnings or those small beginnings or whatever translation of the Bible that you actually have. I was actually reminded of that yesterday by my wife. We need to not despise those small or humble beginnings. And, God is actually, as he allowed me to reflect on the things that has actually happened in my life and in my family's life, family, it wasn't one of these grandiose hit the ball out the ballpark moments every single time, okay? A lot of things happen very, very small. And I'm talking small to where if you didn't purposely try to take note of it, I mean, it probably passed you right by. And it's something to where when you actually get to a point to where you see a progression starting to happen, I love it at how I love it how God allows you to just see where you are right now, and then you can turn around and reflect on where you came from. I mean, it's really evident as far as like some of us can actually say, wow, I was so far out of whack as far as like in my mental state. And this could just be a year ago, okay? This could be a year ago. And you were so far out of whack in your mental state and where you are right now and how, as I said, you're reading different books. You may have possibly gotten back in school. You may see that, hey, instead of being a complainer on a job, maybe if I start like being like active and proactive in different things, it'll start opening up different opportunities for me. I mean, what is it right now that's causing you to actually go to receive that recognition? Okay, what's actually propelling you? And like I said, a lot of people that I speak with, it's about I would say most times, I'm going to say 75% of it is actually, what's that? I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to prove them wrong. No, they're not going to say this about me. Look, I got fired, but guess what? I'm going to show them exactly what it is to be, a success. And when you hear people say that, it could just be them just talking, kind of being puffed up. But what happens if it's really somebody that really grabbed hold of it? What if they really caught a hold of something? What if you really caught a hold of something? And I say this a lot of times to where people start saying, oh, man, how do I get out of this? How do I get out of that? And I'm listening to them, and, that phrase from that, like, one movie, how it says, do you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth? I tell people all the time, do you hear the words that are actually coming out of your mouth? A lot of times we are seeking solutions to problems or things that we're going through. And if you actually take the opportunity to listen to what's coming out of your mouth, you're actually providing your very own solutions, okay, that are coming from deep within. And I mean, you can say what you want. I say all the time, it's, under the full inspiration and guidance of the Holy Spirit, especially if you hear us. But look, pay attention to what's actually coming out of your mouth. Are you actually speaking things of death that are actually holding you back, that are actually keeping you stagnant, to actually where you're like, well, it's never going to change. It's been like this all my life. I mean, nobody's ever pretty much aspired to anything in my family. And then you start looking at the people that you're associated with, and, they're happy to just have that, weekend fulfillment, to just throw their money on possibly some drugs or some alcohol or whatever it is that they're doing. And, that's the kind of company that you keep. And like I said, I'm not putting down anyone, but you might just want to take note of the individuals that are around you, because guess what? You're only going to rise as high as your circle that you're with. And I mean, it's definitely a mental state. And some people, and I've said before, some people like to hide in their inadequacy. Some people like to hide in their discomfort. I mean, it goes to, and like I said, not talking about anyone, but I asked a question for so long, and it goes along right with this. I never understood why so many women out there stay in abusive relationships. I mean, I just kept asking and asking and asking. And then all of a sudden, it just dawned to me. That's their normal. That's their normal. They don't know anything outside of that. And anything outside of being in an abusive relationship is something that will actually help them to better themselves, to uplift them up. And that's one of the things that an abuser does, to all make them think that, guess what? Everything in your life should be dependent on me. Well, guess what? Everything in your life shouldn't be dependent upon, and I'm just not talking about someone in an abused relationship. I'm talking about people that want to do better. Everything in your life should not just be dependent upon, your present situation or your present circumstance, okay? We've got to break free of all of this barely getting by to where it's always going to be like this. And it's not about you being black. It's not about you being white. It's not about you being Asian, Hispanic. It's not about you being Native American. It's not about all of that, okay? It's about you making the decision to bring about that positive change in your life, being that positive agent of change and securing that type of recognition that's actually going to allow people to take note of you and continue to propel you into the greatness that God sees on the inside of you. So as we come back before our break, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. But guess what? You definitely are in your moment. Welcome back to In the Moment with Courtier Kuzan on this Thriving Thursday. And we've been talking about the factors that motivate people in life. And this is part 2 of that. And like I said, we're in the last portion of our show, and we're going to bring it home. And I know it's been really prevalent, and you've been actually listening, and it's been going deep down on the inside of you to actually really define and figure out what is that thing that actually motivates you. And, we were talking about recognition before the break. I mean, I must be one of the strange people out there because, I can do these different things, and people say, oh, all right, Court, well, thank you for this and thank you for that. Oh, man, you did something. Thank you for this and thank you for that. But it really sounds strange, but I really don't like it a lot of times when people try to thank me for stuff. I really, just like in a team setting, if I'm the leader, if they say, well, you did such a great job, immediately my response is going to be, well, the team did a great job. Or, wow, you really brought this home. I really say, well, such and such put most of the work on the project. So maybe it's just the way and how being raised or how, exactly the Lord has done things in my life. But, a lot of times recognition should be something that should be shared, okay? Because sharing recognition, in case you never realized it, actually shows support. It actually shows love, and definitely it brings about unity as far as with the people that you're in connection with, all right? But definitely recognition, as I said, should be in a positive light that helps propel you even more so towards your success. Now, you can get recognition for being a bad seed in the community, okay? And we're not talking about something like that. We're talking about the recognition of where people actually start to look at you as possibly a certain standard or that beacon light we mentioned to actually say that, hey, you know something? It is possible for me to do something better because look at what's happening with them, all right? And then, of course, the 6th point, passion. Okay, are you passionate about the things that you're doing? I mean, this final factor actually motivates most people to live passionately. I mean, why do you think all the successful people, or should I say, why do you think all the successful people do what they do? Okay, it's not just because they I'm just going to wake up and, all right, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to pray, all right, I'm going to exercise, I'm going to eat the right food, and they just do this as a checklist, okay? There's some passion, there's some drive that's behind that. Why do you think they, like I say, are willing to actually wake up early and work harder than, what we say are ordinary people? All right? The answer is, like I said, it's evident. They are passionate about what they do. I said before, using us as an example, why do we wake up 3 o'clock in the morning, have the radio program, have a full day, and do all that we do? And a lot of times you're waking up 3 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes we're going to sleep, personally speaking for myself, 11 or 12 o'clock at night. But guess what? There's a passion, there's a drive there to continually formulate and grow the success and grow what God has actually given us responsibility over. Think about it. I mean, there are times when you feel so motivated for something that you are willing to actually sacrifice your leisure time. Hello. All right. Hello. I mean, maybe it's like your favorite sport. Maybe it's when you got the chance to travel somewhere that you actually love. I mean, whatever the reason, I believe, that you understand the power of passion. I mean, when you are like so passionate about something, you think about it like all the time. I mean, really, what are you passionate about that you think about all the time? I'm constantly thinking about different ways to actually expand in business, but not just for my family and for myself, but expand in business to actually help other people to actually rise up to new levels, to be better in what God has actually called them to be. Okay? What is your motivation for, and why are you so passionate? All right? Now, will you actually be willing to wake up early and sacrifice your sleep for it? I mean, you may not want to do it, but that's one of the qualifying factors of actually being successful. You're going to lose sleep. You will lose sleep because why? If you truly do have drive, you got to put in the work. You've got to do what's necessary to bring it about. And then this is actually why passion is important, because it can drive you each day to achieve what you want in life. That fire, that passion, that incentive. You can call it whatever you want, but what is it going to be right now that's going to drive you? What's it going to be right now to where God's probably touched you on your shoulder for like, I don't know, a decade or so? And I'm not telling you to quit your job, but God told you to go in a different direction. But just because you're so comfortable with going from that paycheck to paycheck to paycheck, and you're in this routine to where you can sit in front of that computer, whatever you do, and do it with your eyes closed, and you seem like your life has no meaning whatsoever, hello, who am I talking to out there? Let's get passionate about that driving force that's on the inside of us. Now, sadly, most people never develop their passion, in their work. They work like a zombie without feeling any passion. I mean, they make sure they are not the first one to reach the office and not the last one to actually leave. I'm just going to get there and do just the bare minimum. But boy, I tell you what, when that clock gets to possibly like 2 minutes before 5, I'm just going to, start to put my stuff together, and by the time it clicks on 5, I'll be the first one out the door. I'm ringing a bell with somebody right now. Now, look, no wonder most people are just plain and living a plain and ordinary lifestyle. Because like I said, I'm going to go to work, put in the bare minimum, leave, go home, watch a little television, go to sleep, get up, hit the electronic rooster, go to work, do the bare minimum, come back, watch television. You see a systematic rule of the plain Jane, the same situation in the same little loop, the never-ending cycle, okay? And, one of my kids' favorite little movies is The Lion King. What are you going to do to get yourself lifted up, okay? What are you going to do to allow God to lift you up like by Simba, and you hear the Circle of Life song singing in the background to where it's time for you to just get propelled into what he has in store for you? Now, the things that we're talking about, how to channel, all of these different things that we spoke on, all of these things, okay? So now you understand what actually motivates people. I mean, to actually achieve what they actually want to achieve in life. Now you know why people do what they do and how you can actually make use of the power and the pain and the pleasure to drive yourself, all right? So what can you do right now? Okay, what is it that you can do right now to identify what drives you? Now, from the 6 factors that we went over for these past 2 days, okay, which one do you think can actually drive you the most? Which one? Now, sometimes you actually may be driven, by a few factors, all together, grouped together, but there will be one dominant factor, one thing that actually motivates you to go forward. So you need to find out exactly what that one motivating factor is, what drives you the most, and grab a hold on it. I mean, just like Jacob did when he was wrestling with the Lord, where he says, something, I'm not going to let you loose until you bless me. You've got to have that much determination. I'm not going to let go of this until it blesses me, okay? I'm not going to stop until I start to see the fruits of my labor. What's that factor that's actually going to push you over the top? That's actually going to not just go over the mountain, run through that mountain, crumble that mountain down. Stop trying to go over mountains and through valleys, okay? You determine what your outcome is going to be. You take your authority and walk into what God has in store for you, okay? And then when you know what motivates you in life, all you need to do is what? Is to enhance that particular factor and create an intention for it. You have got to be intentional every single day. If you're getting up with a haphazard thing, guess what? hit reset, start over, but don't leave your bed just thinking with this ho-hum attitude that you're going to get it. You've got to be intentional every day. You've got to strive to make progress every single day. You have got to do what's necessary to lay the track, lay the groundwork, lay the foundation to do and receive what the level of success needs to be in your life. Now, for example, if you are actually motivated because you want to prove yourself right, write it down and review it daily. Write what you want to do each day, go and achieve those different things, and mark that as a success. And if you don't achieve something, put that as the first thing on your to-do list for the next day to go ahead. Don't just skip over something, okay, and just say, well, I didn't get to this today. Make it intentional to achieve your goal marks, your hallmarks each and every day. Now, you know, Steve Jobs actually used to have like a portrait of Albert Einstein in his house. I mean, he wanted to remind himself of his vision to actually use technology as a design to actually change the world. Thus, you know, whenever he saw the portrait and he recalled his vision, it actually directed him, towards the right path. You may have to have a visual of something that actually directs you towards where you're going to. A vision board. Do something. I mean, I don't care if it's a stick man with a dollar sign over his head walking towards this pathway of success. Do something to actually help guide you there. Now, what motivates you in life is something you need to discover if you actually want to achieve remarkable success, okay? And that is actually why Zig Ziglar said that motivation is like bathing. You have to do it every single day. Without motivation, you will never have the drive to take action. And without action, you can never reach your goals and live your dreams. You're in your moment. Grab hold of it. Expound on it. Grow it. But you're in your moment to be that positive agent of change. And we will definitely continue forth. And family, look, don't allow this day to slip by. Do something in this day, in your moment. And we will see you tomorrow on Fire It Up Friday. But continue to be in your moment. Take care, and God bless you.